All right, guys, got a video. We're doing it live. We got from Lex Friedman, and he has on Roger Reeves was a drug smuggler for Pablo Escobar. Now, you think I'm going to be going over some sort of uh, some sort of drug story or something like that, but what I'm being told is this portion we're about to play is about like something like free will, which is woo woo. I love woo woo. By the way, I was checking out some of Slow News Day today, and they had this lady on Tessa something, and I'm like, huh. I forgot her name, forgive me. And like, oh, this is fucking interesting. Like right up my alley. Should I like to talk about, you know? Uh, Pause, by the way. But that's, side note. Oh, before we get started, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to Devon's Journey to Recovery, Victims of Africom, Stevie, Redneck Economics, and you can get Sleepy J a coffee, which is basically donating to him to help him out, right? We all want to help each other out. There are ways to do so, financially. As the most obvious, simple way to do it, right? If you don't have money, obviously you can support it by sharing it in different places and say, hey, I read this story and this is what this is about, and hey, check it out. So all links are provided in the description box. Please check them out. The end has a poem going to the end. It's not long. 10 minutes total. Okay, but the poem reminded me of the ending of Blow. It was kind of moving. I'll play it then. All right, so here we go. Roger Reeves, I guess, with Lex Friedman, and I guess that's his wife or girlfriend or something. And they're going to talk about some free will, I guess. Here we go. I guess a lot. Sorry.
And yet not. Yeah.
The parts
I want to live, Lex. I want to live,
This life is fun.
Yes.
Do you think about your death, Roger?
I have visions. I have visions, and they often happen very, very clear, like what I have seen in the future. Scientists might call it wormholes, or in the Old Testament they call it prophets, but I see sometimes into the future around the corner. It's clear as we're sitting right here.
What's that look like?
I was on a porch, and I believe I was in like Central America place. I was an old man with khaki pants and a white shirt. And it was a chair with a wide arms, and it was straight, and there was like the
might check that out.
Beams coming out above my head, and I'm on a porch.
Bougainvillea.
And I have out of the body experiences also, and I came out of my body. I just floated out of my body and went into a veil, and like into a mist, and I believe that's probably why it happened.
You talk about like it's in your past. This is your future.
No, this is in my future.
But
this is something he has seen,
I've seen
in
it
the
a
past.
vision.
Yeah,
no, I know, but it's funny. Just
yeah.
The tense you use, it happened, and yet it's something that will happen.
Yes,
too. Both are true.
It's just unbelievable that, and I don't know how many people have it, but I have it. I walked out of my body just where I could come up to you and look and set up on the radio. I used to be at work on the railroad, and I had them there.
How do you explain that? What do
you
think?
Know.
Check out my video reacting to Rick. What's his name? Not Penrose. It's Frick. I'll find that. I've done a video where he talks about consciousness. Doctor who talks about consciousness, and he describes something like, "Hey, maybe this is possible based on the things we're studying here, using quantum physics." And with, I guess, doctor type shit, right? Right. He's a anesthesiologist. I said that right. So consciousness is a big deal for him. All right, here we go.
But what the heck is going on in this universe that's possible?
Oh, I don't know, but
I'll mod you right now.
Certainly a phenomenon that happened.
K to the C, a young lion.
There's a guy, Bill Monroe, that wrote the book on it, Out of the Body. He tells about it. And who was the guy that writes The Alchemist?
Those Pablo things, Coelho.
Yeah, he has them also, just like that. And he tells about how it happens on him. Mine happened differently. but you certainly can come out of your body.
What do you think the meaning of this life is? Maybe from your faith, but also from just the amazing adventure that you lived through. How do you make sense of why the heck we're here?
I don't know. It's just kind of like who you are. Even when I was a child, I was like, I'm different from other people. And just as a boy, I was like, I had a
Could you put into words how you were different, or was it just a feeling?
Yeah, like my brother, I mean, he kept his hands clean and his shoes shine, and here I was barefooted catching a wild hog or wrestling a horse trying to get it down.
I saw pictures of you climbing a tree recently.
When I first got out of prison. Always something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, so I don't know.
Oddball.
It's just that,
Pause.
and I noticed that something about me is sometimes in prison there'd be a knife fight. And people just, you see them rough guys that turn white from it. I just kind of almost like smile. I mean, unless if they come at me, I'll turn white and get away. But it doesn't bother, those things just doesn't bother me. Prison didn't bother me.
So you don't know what the heck the meaning is.
That's very interesting. Now, it could be, I don't think so, but, right, if someone without emotions and things like that, that'd be something troubling if you heard that. But at the same time, it's like, I think I get what you mean. And it's sort of like, if it's someone who's just very grounded, sort of like an expression I heard, like feet on the ground but head in the clouds type thing, right? To where you're grounded in what's happening in front of you, but at the same time, you have a woo-woo sense of it too, or a spiritual sense of it, or a peace of mind sense of it. That's very interesting.
Yes, you just know you're a bit different than the others.
Yeah, it might be a little
And then
bit
maybe-
kooky.
Well, maybe the whole point is you want to let that madness flourish, that uniqueness flourish. That's the whole point of life. We're all different in like very interesting little ways.
Yes.
And the more different you are, you want to let that become. You want to let it be its full.
It's like
Possibility.
a garden, all
It's
the
like a garden.
different flowers. Yeah, like a garden.
You did mention you weren't sure if there's a free will or not. Do you think it's all predetermined, or do you think we make our own
We
choices?
definitely make our decisions. I just said if it is, I hope that, but I know that we make our decisions.
Yes,
And,
I agree.
And I know that we are
There's the free
spirits
will part.
that are living in this flesh. That's beyond a shadow of a doubt with me. If you walk out of your body and have out of body experience, you will know it.
So the body is just a temporary
the
container
spirit
for
lives
something
on
much bigger.
eternally
Yes.
with no beginning
It's
and no
here.
end. And that's hard to fathom. Yeah, this is just a little shell. This is a shell to contain that spirit. This is the
Woo-woo
way we
women are so
work on
attractive.
Earth.
Just
But
saying.
yeah, I know. I'm an eternal
crystals.
being. So are you.
Do you think there's
So,
a why
Claudia?
to it? Do you think there's a meaning to this life?
Well, I think the why is beyond.
Okay, so it didn't really go into free will. At least not yet. But I guess his notion is, oh yes, most definitely because of the ghost in the machine part. Now, that could be tricky for me in regards to my own belief of these woo-woo type concepts, which is something that I guess he would call like the eternal self. There is no time for that thing. Not the way we think about time of like point A to point B. It's more of living all of its experience simultaneously, right? It is a constant I or self or you. It's a constant. So it's experiencing falling out of a tree as a kid while also simultaneously experiencing, being in a business meeting or on your deathbed or after death and before life. It's experiencing all of that simultaneously. That would be my woo-woo notion of it. So, in that sense, you are who you're going to be, but that decision is up. The decision to be or not to be, that's the only real choice. But even that's kind of illusionary because you're going to choose to be yourself. Almost dropped my hand in James's food. That's my woo-woo notion of it. The only choice we actually have is to be yourself or not be yourself. It's not a pick between watching the game or watching the political debate. That choice is already made. That choice is already made because you're going to choose to be yourself. But when you zoom in, you look at the particular moments as they're playing out. It's like an illusion of choice. It's an illusion of you not being yourself, or not guiding yourself, your ego, back to yourself, the capital S self. So it's like we choose to fuck up in order to actually have our egos observe the actual self, in order to express the self, in order to observe the self. It's very all over the place as far as words go, but maybe one day I'll sit down and really try to break that down. I guess the logical underpinnings of my notion of free will and the self and all of that. But for now, let's continue with more other woo-woo. Here we go.
Being. So are you.
Do you think there's a why to it? Do you think there's a meaning to this life?
Well, I think the why is beyond
Yes.
my capability of understanding. It's someone greater than me. I don't understand it, but it's awesome. I just know that it's awesome. And
Yeah.
one day we will know the answers. Once we get to that crossover to the other side, I think we will understand clearly. It
But you're
says,
already
now
there.
we see through a glass darkly. But then when we are face to face with God, we will understand.
And until we know, let's just enjoy this beautiful
Yes.
life while we got it.
Absolutely.
And
love
we're
your
meant-
fellow man.
and-
That was my gift.
Yeah.
I love everybody and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And it just, and I'm sorry if I put a stumbling block in anybody's way. I wouldn't want to. But these are these things that when I just think about, oh, what a hypocritical world we live in, though. Like, most anybody out there listen, okay, he's a drug dealer. And I would say most of them have committed adultery. That's a cardinal sin. And yet they throw rocks at me for moving a marijuana or cocaine across the road.
Yeah.
It's just, if you saw the two different things, you'd say, what a terrible difference it is. But
Well, Roger, this is why I dive into psychology. Because my underpinnings are the woo-woo, morality, goodness, self, that type of stuff. But you have to have an explanation for why bad things happen, right? If there's a woo-woo spiritual sense of the world, you have to ask. You have to also explain. Hey, well, then how come bad things happen, right? And a lot of people get lazy, like the secret shit, where it's like your intention and your will bring things to you that you want, that you wish for, basically. And it's like, well, what about the starving kid in Africa? I'm sure they want food. How come there's no food there? Right? So that's why I dive into psychology. I think it's that gateway between inner and outer. The gatekeeper, if you will. The dark, gloomy gatekeeper, right? Where all our scary things are at. And you got to get through that to see the quote-unquote spiritual in order to see the quote-unquote outside. To see more of the outside, I would think. Look up my new shirt, The General. All right. In the General or on the General? General who? Is it Iron Chief? All right, here we go.
we become conditioned with this mad society that we have.
Oh, conditioned. You actually said
You
the word.
mentioned
Okay.
that your daughter, Miriam, wrote you a poem. Do you mind reading it?
I'd be glad to. I was doing 11 years up in Lombok Penitentiary, maximum security prison, for a parole violation for possession of marijuana in 1977. They should have given me 6 months, but they gave me
Did I
11
read
years
the
because they wanted
morality
me for
section in
what
my
they call
paper?
silent
I
beef.
have not yet.
Anyhow, while I was in that dungeon, I received a letter
I've read a decent
from my
amount
daughter,
of
Miriam.
what I saw.
Called
what was it,
Daddy's
Hot
Poem.
Topics or Woo
A year
Woo?
ago,
I think it was in
I
Woo
became a
Woo.
poet when I wrote your birthday prose,
Now we're
and here I am
spelling stuff
today
out.
ready to give it another go. First, I would like to wish you a
I will get
very
there.
happy birthday to be, and to
Freak
thank you so
Apex.
very much, for without you, I would not be me. Secondly, I want to say that your support has been immense. It has been true, honest, loving, and free of all pretense. Thirdly, it goes without saying, your love has surpassed all my wrongs, and you always made me smile with one of your old country songs. I can remember on Cuervo, Daddy, with you holding me in your arms as you sang Jim Reeves songs and talked about the farm. I
Prop
can see
knows
you
what you
walking
did,
through the
Iron
door
Chief.
from one of your travels far and wide, and the thought of you coming home, Daddy, kept a twinkle in our eyes. I can smell you as I did when I used to climb into your bed, and you would talk to me again about one of the adventures that you led. I can see me and Mario asleep in one of your airplanes extraordinaire, and wondering to myself why there wasn't an available chair. I remember having to meet you and worrying that you wouldn't be there, but you would pop from behind some counter and give us all a happy scare. You gave us presents in Key Biscayne and hotels pleasure galore, and 3 dozen roses as we came through the airport
This kid knows
door.
way too much.
I can see your face in Amsterdam with the
Who's
luggage
snitching?
carousel, and you look like a boy with a secret that you were just dying to tell.
What's
You
up,
taught me
Sid?
mathematics in the sands of faraway places,
Goddamn
and
alien.
taught me to sail, and we
What's
left
up, Amy?
without any traces. We climbed glaciers in Argentina and saw the blue of the beautiful caves and witnessed the majestic beauty of such a jaggling maze.
Do I trust
I
him?
learned how to
Lex
change gears
Friedman
on
or
the dirt
Friedman?
roads of Brazil. We ate hot dogs in Paraguay,
I guess
a
some silly
memory we
ideas.
smile over still.
Seems more.
We talked about lions, elephants, and bears on a hacienda in
He's a lot more go
Uruguay,
along to get along.
but decided it was better if to Europe we did fly. Oh, the old world and all its luxury, what a good time it was.
Yeah, he does seem
From
quite,
South America to the Cosmopolitan,
enamored
I
with
think we fell in love.
robots and shit.
The
like
European jaunt,
that. Kind
well,
of like Rogan.
it is considered a book in itself, but it's a story about beauty and knowledge, suspense, and worldly wealth. We went from Holland to Sweden,
Prop
and we
knows
went
what
from
you did,
France
Iron
to
Chief.
Spain, and I promise you I have no regrets. I would definitely do it all
I'll just
again.
play it.
I would see the world with you anytime, sir. There's no doubt in my mind, because being
I
by
think
your
I'm being
side, Daddy,
gaslighted.
always ensures a wild good time. So our paths took a turn, and we're back in the U.S. of A. But life here isn't so bad, and I'm plumb content to stay.
This is
I'm
one
happy to be near
long-ass
you.
poem, bro.
Although I'm not as close as I was before. But because of your love and encouragement, I've been able to open new doors. I'm grateful to be in school, and I'm generally happy where I am. And I even like when you call and tell me to study for the next exam. What a life you've given me, Daddy. It's a tremendous and a magical gift. We already have so many stories to tell. There are far too many to list. But I want to thank you again this day with a very big happy birthday to you, and to tell you just a few more things that I know in my heart to be true. That I love you, Daddy, with all of your wrongs and your rights, that you're ahead of our family and you've kept us all
Blood and
bound
fire.
tight,
Of course.
that you have a honest love in your heart for God and all mankind, and you truly do believe in yourself when you say it will all be fine. I know you will be there to catch me if ever I waver or slip, and I know I'd want you as
Like
captain
Rogan.
on any sinking ship. I also know a new chapter is written. It's almost time to move on. It's time to sail another sea and to witness a brand new dawn. It'll be good to see you at the helm again as you point out our destination, and to laugh and dance on the upper deck while the boat glides through. It'll be good to see you on the go, as I know you like to be, and to know you can open any
Prop.
door without any key.
I'm
But while we
surprised.
revel in our days together, we will know better than to hurry, because as you told me many times, life is an incredible journey.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Roger, I'm really honored that you would take the time to visit me in Texas and to sit down and talk with me. Thank you
He's
so
in
much,
Texas?
Roger.
Thank
Of course
you.
he is.
Thank you. It was
Thank
a
you,
pleasure.
Lex. It's been a real
Right next to
pleasure.
fucking
Yes.
Rogan.
Beautiful. Thanks for listening to this conversation with Roger Reeves, and thank you to Noom, Allform, ExpressVPN
Fuck your
supports
ads. Give me the quote.
all empires. Now, let me leave you with some words from Pablo Escobar. All empires are created of blood and fire.
That guy was healthy, right? Fuck.